So I have the pleasure of introducing a personal friend of mine and introducing him to OER in general. I'm going to be introducing Chris Sauerzopf today. Chris is the founder and CEO of SocialMLS, which is a venture-backed startup that allows real estate agents to automate and share their listings through Facebook, while also allowing the sellers to share the story of their home throughout the process within the seller's social network on Facebook. Chris has also developed the SocialMLS Fireside Chat, where once a month, a top Central Ohio real estate agent is interviewed and shares their experiences and goals. In January, it's January, right, Edmund?
Yes.
In January, Chris was invited to speak at Edmund Connect and was highlighted as a new kid on the block, which, ironically enough, is also my favorite music group. Due to his engaging teaching style and unparalleled knowledge, Chris has been asked to teach CE courses throughout the state of Ohio, focusing primarily on social media and technology. As an owner at World Class Title here in Columbus, Chris manages a team of sales agents, they're in the corner, and has increased business 80% in 2005 over 2014. World Class Title's marketing services include social media marketing, SocialMLS, photography, video, print marketing, real estate agent consultation, and more. So please join me in welcoming Chris Sauerzopf to our OER family.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. All right, I'm going to stand down here because I'm not big on stages. My name again is Chris Sauerzopf. I put the pronunciation up there because everybody asks me, so I figured it's probably time to just start pronunciating. Thank you, Heather, for that very kind introduction. Heather's been a wonderful friend, and it's really an honor and a pleasure to be here today with all of you. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about social media storytelling. I could sit here for an hour and I could talk to you about the technical things of how to use Facebook for this or how to use Twitter for that or why you should or shouldn't be on LinkedIn, but the reality is, and the pain point that we come across when we meet with agents to talk about this weekly, is distribution today is easy. Getting the content out there is easy. It's the easy part. What's still difficult is what do we tell people? What do we share with them? How do we create engaging stories that someone will actually stop what they're doing and give us a few seconds of their attention? It comes back to storytelling. It comes back to content. It comes back to consistent messaging. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to filter in some technology, some different information for you. My goal is to give you some takeaways. My goal is to give you some takeaways that you can leave here today, start implementing in your business almost immediately with some of this stuff. A lot of it isn't rocket science. A lot of it is leveraging behavior that already exists using technology and social media. So that's what we'll be talking about today, and hopefully we'll have a little fun along the way. So we've always had the power to tell stories. Sometimes we just forget the best way to do it, right? We've been telling stories for thousands and thousands of years, beginning with, fires and caves. And the difference today isn't the storytelling. It's not how we tell the stories, it's where we tell them. So we're no longer doing them on the walls of caves, we're doing them on Facebook walls. Right? Or on Twitter feeds, wherever you're doing them. So it isn't about that we don't know how to tell stories. It's just we aren't necessarily using the technology properly in a way that communicates those stories to the people we want to see, our buyers and sellers, our clients. One great piece of content has the potential to change your life. You all over here probably can't see a lot of these slides, and I apologize. So if you need to move up or move closer, we can pretend like we like each other. Feel free to come on up. You won't bother me at all. But one piece of great content has the potential to change your life, and you don't believe me. Anyone know who this is? Justin Bieber. 8 years ago, Justin Bieber put this video out, has over 50 million views, and Usher's manager saw this video, and the rest is history. How many of you are going to the Justin Bieber concert coming up next month? I know one lady is over here. No one else? Okay. Tickets are, I think, sold out, so you're out of luck. Missy will scalp hers, though, probably. How many of you have seen this video? Anyone? So this is an agent out of Indiana, and he did a Facebook video about a listing he had when it was snowing out, and he had a lot of fun with it. This was shot on the hood of his car with his phone. It's got over 1,000 shares and 160,000 plus views on Facebook. 2-minute video. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't watched it yet, you can go ahead and take a photo of the guy's name and search it on Facebook. It's just a fun little content piece that is really accessible today with the technology that we have readily available, even just using our phones. So I'm talking about storytelling, so it wouldn't be fair if I don't eat my own dog food and share a little bit about my story without hopefully boring you too much. So I just want to back up for a moment and share, why am I here? Who is this dude? Why did Heather ask me to be here? I ask myself that same question. So I'm originally from Eastern Pennsylvania. I have an industrial design degree from up the road at CCAD. I graduated there in 2011, and I did design work for 4 or 5 years out of school and taught over there for a little while. And in 2005 or so, a few friends were in the mortgage business, and I saw the money they were making, and they wanted to start a mortgage company. And I thought, okay, I like money. I'll go with you. So we did that, and after about a year and a half, we did really well. We have 35 people working for us, did close to $250,000 the final month in July 2006, the final month I was there. I happened to be taking real estate sales classes over at Hondros at that time, too. I had a sales license. It's inactive currently. And these guys wanted to take our business in a different direction, in a direction that Hondros and the law classes were saying weren't really legal, let alone ethical. And so I'd call these guys in the evening because I'm in class all day, and I'd say, guys, this is a bad idea. We shouldn't do this. And they'd say, yeah. So one day I'm in class, and I'm out on a break, and these guys show up, and they get in the back of my car, and they say, you're out. We want you out of the business. You're holding us back. I didn't realize at the time the gift that they had given me. I didn't realize at the time that it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. See, I hated the business. I hated it. And I couldn't sleep at night anymore, and I just didn't sit well with me. But I don't know that I would have left. You know, when they pushed me out, for me, it was this feeling that I wasn't good enough. It was this feeling that that they were rejecting me. And it took me to a dark place for a while. So I went and I took the money that I made. They paid me to go away, and I would have been better off just sleeping on my couch for the next 6 months. But I went and took the money, and I said, I'm going to show them. I'm going to put it all into real estate, and I'm going to flip properties. I'm going to make tons of money, and I'm going to show them. My ego, right? So what happened was I got caught. I took those properties, I took that money, and I over-leveraged myself. And I lost it all. I lost the house, the foreclosure, the car was repossessed, the personal bankruptcy came along, and it took me to a really, really dark place. So fast forward a little bit, and about 8 years ago, I got a notary license, and I started in the title business. I started traveling the state, closing loans, just going and hustling wherever I could make a buck. And I hooked up with World Class Title, and Kelly, my wife, founded that 12 years ago. And I was able to start rebuilding. I was able to start building back and back bit by bit. I'm happy to say that my life isn't like that today. My life isn't like that today. So my point in all of this is about 3 years ago in their title business, we were doing a lot of business with, I'll say their name. We were doing a lot of business with Chase, and they decided that they were no longer going to deal with smaller independent title companies like ourselves. They were going to go to a national program. So we realized at the time, I began asking the question of what can we be doing differently in our business? Where can we be leveraging technology and social media to do more with less? How can we adopt? How can we adapt? Because our alternative was death. We were not going to be around another 5, 10, 15 years in business if we didn't do something different. So that was the challenge, and I began asking that question out loud. And it began really opening up some really interesting doors. So great storytellers are able to connect with people. There's this guy named Simon Sinek. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him or not. He's a human behaviorist. And you can Google, you can go on YouTube and search for Start With Why is his video. But he has this concept, and it says that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Here's an example. People don't buy Apple computers because they're overpriced pieces of aluminum, right? They buy them to think different. They buy them to be chic, not geek. They buy them to not be the nerd, although I'm kind of a nerd, so. Now Apple's marketing plans don't even use words, they just use really cool pictures, so. But the idea is the feeling, the emotion, the why. You know, my why and what I do and work the way I work is because I want to provide a nice living for my family and put food on the table for our daughter and have her have a nice life. You know, that's my why. I get down to that core. Why am I doing this? Do I want to help people? Yeah, I guess. Do I want to make money? Yeah, okay. But why am I really doing this? I'm doing this because it makes me happy, and I want to support my family. Anyone know who this is? Steve Jobs, right? So this is an early picture of Steve Jobs, probably early 80s, 81, 82. He would tell a story around this time in his career about when he was a kid. He read this popular science magazine, and in that magazine, they took 20 animals, and they ranked them in order of most energy spent and distance versus distance traveled. So energy versus efficiency. What are the most efficient animals? They took 20 of them. Any clues, any idea what number one would be? What's that? Bumblebee? No. So which one could travel the furthest on the least amount of energy? What they found was the California condor. It's a pretty bird, isn't it? The California condor has a wingspan around 12 feet, and they found that that bird in that 20 animals surveyed could go the furthest at least most efficiently. Humans are not incredibly efficient. We were like number 18 out of 20 on that list. But what's really interesting is when you give us tools, when you give us technology, when you give us the ability to leverage with something like a bike, we are now the most efficient creature in that list, right? So the point of that story with computers, with social media, with technology in general, is how do I leverage? How do I leverage those things to do more with less, to be more efficient, to take what I can and leave the rest? So how can I use technology to do more of what I want, create more time, more value, and less of what I hate? That's the question for all of you. I can't answer that. I know how I use it. So this is not, new technologies is not a new debate, right? This has been going on a long time. Since the evolution of the wheel. You know the wheel wasn't invented to move stuff. It was actually invented for pottery. I didn't know that. Found that out. Thought I'd share. How many of you feel like you're being overwhelmed with social media? Anyone? A couple of you? Good. I totally agree. You know, every place you go, someone's telling you you got to be here, you got to be there, you got to be doing this, you got to be doing that. I personally don't believe that. My opinion on this has evolved a bit. I think that this is a lot like fishing. You have to go where the most fish are, and you have to have the best bait. That's what this is, really, at the end of the day. So my question to all of you, and what I want you to think about is, where are your buyers and sellers on social media? Where do they exist? My guess is 90% of you, you're going to say Facebook. You know, if you can justify to me that it's on LinkedIn or it's on Twitter, I don't care. I'm totally agnostic where you do it. The only thing I want you all to think about is, where are your people at? You think about the last 10 people you've worked with, where do they exist on social media? And be there, and be there. Again, 90% of the time, it's going to be Facebook. So then the question is, if I know that, what do I do next? And the concept is to go deeper and not wider. So rather than going to more social media applications, go deeper in the ones you're in, the ones you can invest some time and energies into. So I suggest Facebook first. There's so many opportunities, and just to end the debate, Facebook has won. Facebook has won. It's not Twitter, it's not LinkedIn, it's not anything else. Facebook is a juggernaut. Facebook is one. There's 1.6 billion users and growing. 72% of online adults access Facebook at least once a month. 91% of millennials. So if anyone tells you millennials aren't on Facebook, I'm going to show you a stat here in a minute that's going to blow you out of the water. It's not true. Females, on average, have 250 friends. That's more than men. And 45% of your 65 and older on Facebook. So about half. And that number is growing too. All of these numbers actually are growing. And there are about 900 million average daily Facebook mobile users a day. The average Facebook user is on there 2 hours a day. So this is an attention game. This is an attention game. This is about going where the eyeballs are. And if the eyeballs are on Facebook, guess what? That's where I got to be too, right? So my question again, and I'm going to keep kind of harping back on this, where are your people at? If they're here, cool, problem solved, be there. If they're not, you got some work to do. Facebook is a juggernaut. It's a huge, powerful, and overwhelming force or institution. It has won. So this little chart came out in December of 2015, and way up here in the upper right-hand corner is Facebook, and here is everyone else. So on the left-hand side, these numbers here are average minutes spent on that social platform per month. And then over here on the bottom is percentage reached, so saturation of market, really. So this is millennials, 18 to 34. 95+% Facebook, over 1,000 minutes on average a month. So anyone that tells you millennials are not on Facebook, you can show them this. Email me, I will happily give you this slide. The other thing to pay attention, though, to is down here. So what's going on down here? This is that overload slide that I showed you about, really, right? So out of these guys, where do I start to look at putting some effort in, if any place? I'm going to suggest to you Instagram and Snapchat. Instagram, because it's a Facebook product, and you can access people on Instagram the way you can access people on Facebook. It's built on the same ad technology. So while it may not be your play today, it may be your play within the next 24 months. Snapchat has really come out of nowhere, and it's leading the pack here on time spent, and it's still only less than 40% adoption rate in millennials. So there's a big upside here, big upside. My guess is next year when you all have me back, which I know you will, we'll be talking about Snapchat up here, right? So this is like stocks, picking your stocks. Do you want to pick a stock and get involved low when it's here, or do you want to wait until it's up here? So in 3 years, the masses will be there. They'll be on Facebook too. Facebook's not going anywhere. But there's a play here for Snapchat, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And if I have time at the end, I may do a demo on Snapchat. I'm not going to demo it too much today, but you can go on YouTube, do a 10-minute Snapchat tutorial, and you can get caught up pretty quickly. So the reason how many of you think Snapchat is for high school kids that want to send naked pictures back and forth to each other? Right? Yeah. So it's gotten a lot of press from that. The reality is that's not why these kids are using it. That's not the reality. It's what the news will tell you, but the reality is people use it because it's easy. You can tell stories with it, visual stories, using pictures and short videos, and they have fun with it. So what you could text someone in a long text, you can visually show them in a Snapchat. So this is a visual storytelling tool. Think of it that way. Don't think of it as the application where kids are sending their goodies back and forth. There's 150 million monthly users on there right now. So it's real. It's real, and it's not going away. Again, I would just start in a simple tutorial on YouTube. I'm not saying go all in right now on Snapchat. I'm just saying that be prepared. It's coming. It's not going away. And you can adopt and adapt it, or you can miss the boat. I'm telling you that the boat and the train are coming. What do I know? This is the biggest takeaway I think I can leave with you all here that you can execute on almost immediately. And it's listening. How do I use social media, specifically Facebook, to listen to what my audience is telling me? Because they're constantly giving me information. I would tell you that if you're not listening to what's happening in your clients' lives, your competitors are. There's another agent that is listening. The top 5 reasons people buy and sell real estate, you all know this: death, divorce, job relocation, downsizing, upsizing. So am I paying attention to those things? Because someone's going to. It might as well be me. And I don't really have an excuse anymore when everything comes to my phone and I can just do this to see what's going on, right? So am I listening? And you all can do this anytime, and this is one that's, and I know a lot of you I'm sure are. But most people don't listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. So the next piece of the listening is a two-part piece though, right? Listening's cool, but if you don't do anything with it, what's the point? So you got to take the action. How does that listening become a personal touch? How does that death or divorce or job relocation or upsizing families, downsizing families, how does that become an opportunity for engagement, an opportunity for a personal touch, a card, a phone call? This is like old school versus new, mending with new school, right? The old school personal touch, phone calls, cards, visits, whatever, with the new school approach of using these leveraging technology like we've been talking about to get there. Again, I don't care how you get there. I'm just saying make your lives easier. This is a great opportunity. How many know what this is? Facebook Messenger. I like asking the question of who knows what is, because the ones on their phones will actually look up and pay. This is the Facebook Messenger logo. Facebook Messenger is a really powerful thing Facebook has been doing now for a while. How many of you, and this may be the wrong room to ask this question because many of you probably read most of your emails, but how many of you read more than 50% of your emails that come through? More than 50%. About half, maybe a little more than half, good. So Facebook Messenger there's an opportunity there to connect with people that you wouldn't otherwise have access to via email, but you can find via Facebook, right? The really neat thing with Messenger is that marketers haven't ruined Messenger yet like they've ruined email. You know, I'm a marketer, so I get it. And email marketers have ruined email. Haven't done it yet to Facebook Messenger. So people will still read Facebook messages more percentage of time than they will emails. And you get that really annoying red numbered icon of death on Facebook that you have to click on and look at, right? You can't leave these little red things up there. You have to check out what those are. So Facebook knows that. So Facebook Messenger is a nice way and a nice opportunity, if your clients are on there, to another way to communicate with them, in addition to text, email, everything else you're doing. But they're going to make a really strong play at replacing email, Facebook will, with what they're doing with Facebook Messenger and what they just announced recently with some of their new features. It's just a fun platform. There's a lot of new things you can do. I'm not going to get too detailed into it, but if you're not using it, check it out. If you are using it, great. I also like, though, that you can see if people are reading your messages or not. You can incorporate video. You can incorporate pictures. They have these third-party forums here where you can integrate all kinds of different fun stuff. So just another medium to check out. And it's, again, Facebook first. So think about this as playing the long game and not the short fix. This is not a light switch. There's nothing that anyone can come into your business and say that they can do for your social media that's going to create immediate business. There just isn't. It's going to take effort and work on your part. I think the closest thing to that is listening to your network and seeing what it is they're doing. And no one else can come in and do that and replace you. You still have to be involved in the equation there. You know, there's a lot of people that want to sell you every service and every product on social media and come in and do it all. But the reality is, it just doesn't work that way. We need to be human beings. We need to interact with people like we're human beings. We can't automate being a human. How many of you get annoyed when someone automates that process of trying to act like a human to you in your interactions? It's annoying, right? So why would I do it? So playing the long game, thinking about this not only in that aspect, but also in your posts. Thinking about your listings as not just one standoff listing, but as a piece of and an opportunity for you to enlarge and build your brand. How do those listings fit under the umbrella of you and your brand and in your marketing? Are you looking at it that way, or are you looking at it as, well, it's a listing, I just need to put it out there, right? Don't do that. But think about it as under the umbrella of your brand, your marketing. These are opportunities to build my name, get it out there, create more exposure, and more opportunities for brand recognition. So long game. This is how I exercise, if you can't tell. See, I got some heads up. So stories, content, context. Content examples, things like listings, things like pictures, video, all kinds of different opportunities for content. Context. Context is really about where you're doing it and what story you're telling in that environment. So think of it as there's this great big social media party happening right now. When you show up at that party, what outfit are you wearing? So your posts on Twitter are going to be different than your posts on Facebook or on LinkedIn. What's the audience? What context are you giving those things? So a little bit of thought there. That's why you can't automate everything in this process. You can't send your Facebook post to your Twitter, to your LinkedIn, to your Pinterest, to your Google+, to your blah, 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 right? Because they're different audience, different context. It just doesn't work that way anymore. How many of you know Gary Vaynerchuk? Okay. So he says, whatever you love, talk about that. So as a content, what do I talk about? What do I do? Even if one person is listening and finds it interesting, you've got something. So what is it that I care about? What is it that makes me a human being that someone else might be interested in? It's going to be different for every one of you. It should be different for each and every one of you. You should all have your own story. You should all have your own message, your own brand, and that's a good thing. That's what makes us human. So this is what Walt Disney used to use as their storyboarding would go, and they always started with the story. It always started up here with the story. So then all the technical pieces below this went into place. And this hasn't changed in what we're talking about here today. We're talking about the story and then the technical pieces in play. The technical pieces are, do I put them on Facebook? Do I do targeted Facebook ads? Do I put them on Twitter? Do I put them on Google+? Do I put them in LinkedIn? What do I do LinkedIn stories? Do I do, so that you get into the technical piece of it as deep as you want to go. An hour is not enough time. But what's important is it all starts with the story. And when I say story, I'm also thinking about this as a bigger umbrella play, playing the long game for you and your brand. So thinking about this overall story of how you want to be presented in what context you're sharing and information you're putting out. What story are you telling your potential buyers and sellers? Because what's the first thing someone that's going to work with you is going to go do? You all do it. When you meet somebody new, what do? You look them up on Facebook or Google, right? Probably more Facebook now than Google anymore. So what are people finding when they get there with you? Do they see that you're a professional? Do you see that you're busy, you're active, you're engaged? Or do they get crickets? So a couple things to think about when starting with why, going back to that Simon Sinek slide. The first thing to think about is, who cares? Does anybody care about this content that I'm developing other than me? The answer is no, then I probably need to rethink what content I'm putting out there. So I suggest talking with your audience, with your potential buyers and sellers, and finding out what are they interested in? What do they want to know? with their thoughts. Even getting them involved in telling your story is a good thing. The audience, who you're trying to reach. So the content you're developing for a first-time home buyer audience is probably going to be different than content you're going to develop for those that are looking to downsize. So who's my audience? Reverse engineer the messaging, meaning if I'm creating content for home buyers and I know that's my audience, then I need to put my focus there in what I'm going to develop. And this works all across the board. Give value, give value, give value, give value, give content, give freely, and then ask. So for every one time you want to ask, give 9 times. I should repeat that in this room. For every one time you want to ask, give 9 times, right? So for me to go on Facebook and say, who wants to buy? Who wants to buy? Who wants to sell? Who wants to sell? Who wants to buy? Who wants to buy? Here's my listing. Here's my listing. Buy it, buy it, buy it, right? What am I giving other than headaches? So what value can I provide? What can I give? Give. This is the information thing. This is value. This is a good thing. There's a book out there right now called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And the idea is jab, 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 then go for the close. But I got to give value on social. And then a call to action. So when I do my job well and I get people responding and engaged in what it is I'm putting out there, what am I asking them to do? Where am I asking them to go? And am I clear about that? And when they get there, are they clear what they're supposed to be doing? Delivery is, am I entertaining, educating, or both? So when you're thinking about content, is your content educating? Is it giving value? Is it entertaining? Or ideally, it's both. Ideally, you're educating and entertaining. And then the medium is where you're doing it. Again, we talked about, my guess is for most of you, it would be or should be Facebook. While we're talking about that, before I jump into fear, I didn't have this as a slide, but I'll mention it since we're talking about Facebook. Facebook pages are important. Facebook pages are important. Personal pages have to be there in order to do a business page. Business pages are important because that's how you can do targeted ads. You cannot do targeted ads from a personal account. Likes do not really matter anymore. They're kind of a vanity metrics, meaning they look cool, but likes don't really matter anymore. What matters is how I use targeting on Facebook to reach my audience. So I just wanted, I didn't have that as a slide, so but it's kind of important. I want to point that out. So fear, what prevents me from doing a lot of this is just fear. It's just fear. It's afraid of people rejecting me, afraid of people making fun of what it is I'm putting out there, afraid of, you name it, there can be a fear for it. But most fear is just crap, you know? I throw some water on it, that fear goes away. Context matters. I talked a little bit about this. So showing up for the social media party wearing the right outfit is important. So what I may post on Facebook may not be appropriate to post on LinkedIn, vice versa. I gotta know my audience. Where are my people? What are they looking for? And give them what they want. If you don't know what they want, another good thing is to go find what other people are doing that are doing this successfully and do that. So a lot of this is going to be, and I'll talk about this, but a lot of this is about consuming content. There is some effort involved in this. But distribution is easier. Distribution has never been easier. Distribution of content today has never been easier for the money it costs to do it. We can reach right now 1.4 million people on Facebook within a 50-mile radius of Central Ohio. But what am I going to tell them when I reach them? It's still the problem. So distribution is easy. Think about Facebook as a distribution tool. Think about content as what it is you're going to put in front of them. So content plus context plus engagement equals action. The only metrics I use to any of this stuff to determine whether it's successful or not is does it create a handshake? If it creates a handshake, this stuff has done its job. All the other analytics, all the other metrics, all the other stuff is just stuff. It's whether or not this creates an opportunity for a handshake, because once you have that handshake, then the ball's in your court. What are you going to do with it? So that's the only metrics I'm interested in. Content plus context. Engagement means when somebody actually does something on these posts I'm putting out, am I there? Am I following in the conversation? Am I communicating with people when they're asking questions about my listing or about my service or whatever it is I'm trying to do? Am I in the conversation? A lot of times what will happen is something will get posted or even a targeted ad will go out and I'll start getting questions and the agent's gone. The agent's MIA. So there's no one there to work those leads. So engagement, and when you're doing those things well, they create opportunities for action. We're doing this. We're working with agents to do this all the time. It works. I'm not just saying it. I'm going to just one slide on SocialMLS. So this is an idea I had about 2 years ago, how we can automate listings on Facebook for agents, but more importantly, invite and connect their sellers into the process. So we're giving these posts context and content in an automated way on Facebook. So that's really where this idea came from. A lot of these conversations that we've had with agents, a lot of the pain points, and a lot of missed opportunities. Think about it this way. If every seller that I've worked with had the opportunity to share their listing in their network over time, how many opportunities for engagement there would be. So we share from the seller, from their perspective, the memories, the feelings they've had with their home, to their network of friends, families, and neighbors, people that really know their home, people likely to be your next referral. So this is where this idea has come from. So how do I create content? We're talking about content. Again, distribution's easy. Content is hard. A couple things to think about. Give value. Talked about this. Give. I'm not talking about financial value. This isn't a title seminar or a lender seminar. So we're not talking about financial value. We're talking about value, content value, information value. What are you passionate about? And be you. Everyone else is taken. Consume content. So find who's doing what it is you want to do and copy them. Do that. Because it's not going to be a copy, because it's going to be you, right? So consuming content, YouTube, Facebook video, these things are good assets. Find what people are doing that you like and do that. And more importantly, what your buyers and sellers like. So just a couple content examples, some posts. You guys have seen this sort of thing. Video, creativity is important. Have fun with this stuff. Remind people that you're a real estate agent in a subtle way, where you're not necessarily cramming it down their throat. I like the fun here and the card, seeing that she's working, but she's not cramming it down her network's throat or her people's throat that I'm an agent, I'm an agent, I'm an agent. We get it. Sean does a ton of blogging, so he has a ton of blogging content. I don't care how you skin it. Whatever you're good at, whatever you like. If blogging's your thing, cool. Video's your thing, cool. Pictures, cool. Whatever. Text, whatever works for you. There's a lot of opportunities to do it however you can leverage it the most. I put a couple slides in here I wanted to give you a little bit of technical stuff, so just if this gets over your head too quick, I apologize, but how many of you are doing Facebook targeted ads? About a third, maybe a quarter. So if you're not doing Facebook targeted ads, you're missing the biggest opportunity in play right now in marketing, period. Facebook targeted ads are opportunities to reach people you otherwise don't have access to. And if you're not doing it now, you can jump right in because now is the time to be doing it because it's going to get a lot more expensive as more people start adopting it. So a third of you are doing it now. How many of you are that third that raised their hand are going to continue doing it? Yeah. So it works. So the first thing you do is you go up in the upper right-hand corner. If you have a business page, again, you have to have a business page. You go on your personal page. You go to create ads. You can, again, find all of this information on YouTube. I'm going to briefly go through it because it's important. Boost your posts. So you create a post on your business page. I'm going to use Heather's business page as an example, a post she had recently, and then I can go in, and this is really under the hood. They're showing me all the opportunities I have and who I can reach. And down here on the bottom right-hand corner, it says I have a potential reach of 1.4 million people within a 50-mile radius of Dublin, Ohio. It's pretty good. But then I got to figure out, and I got to hone in a little further and drill down on the details. What if I want to reach homeowners? I can click on that, and I can reach homeowners. That's pretty good, right? What if I want to reach first-time home buyers? They have one for that too. What if I want to reach renters? So I can start targeting my messaging, the content that we talked about. Again, reverse engineering this. If I want renters, I'm going to create renter content, and I'm going to put it under their nose. And when they're on Facebook 2 hours a day, odds are they're going to see it. I get to schedule it, I get to set it up, and I get a preview of what it's going to look like. And I can also do it as an Instagram sponsored ad. So now through Facebook targeted ads, you can do Instagram targeted ads. Really easy if you have an Instagram account. So they've built that in. Another reason why if you're not on Instagram, it makes sense to dip your toe in the water. Check it out. They gave me a preview, and I hit go, and it's gone. It's really easy. It's really easy. YouTube is a great resource for setting these up, but you have to have a business page. So we're going to do something fun. We haven't done this before. And before I start, I have to thank my friend Missy over here who's helped me with a lot of this the last few days. But we're going to break down an example of a great story. So what does it take to tell a great story? So one of the best stories that's been told in the last 75 years is, well, before that, a story has 5 basic important elements: characters, setting, plot, conflict, and the resolution. How many of you have seen this story before? Right? Wizard of Oz. So let's break it down. So who are our characters? And what I'm thinking about is, am I the star of my own movie as I'm thinking through this? How can I apply this to my world? So Dorothy, she's hopeful, she's a dreamer, she's Midwestern, she's kind, she's naive. So we're taking an inventory of her character assets and defects, right? We're taking an inventory of self-awareness. Who am I? What are my assets? What am I good at? What am I not so good at? How do I go all in on my assets and leave the things I'm not good at alone or give them to someone else? Scarecrow, big heart, entertaining, hopeful, fun, and he's straw-brained. The Tin Man is a protector. He's strong, he's unsure, and he's a bit needy. The Cowardly Lion is brash, flamboyant. He's a gangsta. He's a bully, and he's full of fear. Glinda, the Good Witch, is motherly, elegant, patient, strong, and proud. The Wicked Witch of the West is mean, wicked, impatient. She's green, and she's aquaphobic. And the Wizard is Daunting. He's a larger-than-life. He's a manipulator, full of ego, and he's controlling. How many of you have ex-husbands or wives that sounds like that? So the setting to that story. Kansas. The house floats away, commits a homicide. The Yellow Brick Road, the most famous road in the history of movies, probably. The palace, Emerald City. So the plot and the conflict. So we went and we took this story, and we're retelling it in a contemporary way via Facebook. So we're breaking down pieces of this 75-year-old story, and we've created Facebook accounts for Dorothy, for the Scarecrow, for the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion. So we're going to retell this story in their perspective contemporarily. So I don't want to have to read all these. You guys see those okay? Maybe, sort of? So she's sharing aspects of her day. So mental note, never ask a woman with green skin where she got such lovely red slippers. And they don't like to be called munchkins, it's little people, except for the Lollipop Guild. Those dudes are all kinds of old school munchkins. So the woodsman, or the Tin Man, is also in the mix. Some days you're the witch, some days you're the sparkly shoes. Just remember, my sweet friends, haters need hugs too. And when your best friend is a scarecrow, you automatically become a navigational genius. Scarecrow's updating his day, his crow count. Does this sound familiar? How do you talk if you don't have a brain? Well, some people talk without brains an awful lot, don't they? So Dorothy's talking the Tin Man into joining Facebook. So the point of this is really breaking down the story in a fun way. Little oil, a lot of love can go a long way. Oh, carry an umbrella. The weatherman's only correct 50% of the time. The Cowardly Lion. Met some silly little girl, you know the kind, who carries a dog in her basket, that kind, a stupid scarecrow and some sappy Tin Man. One of these days, I'll have the courage to say no to dumb ideas like trekking down a yellow brick road. So they're on a road trip, and they start getting into who they've met along the way. A girl from Kansas, a scarecrow, a cowardly lion, and a Tin Man walk into Emerald City. Hint, chaos ensues. When your friends can no longer hang like they used to, passing out in the poppy fields, being high on opium. It's always fun. I don't know much, but I do know to stay away from a lighted match and witches. Witches are bad. And this day wasn't annoying enough. The merry band of misfits, now there are flying monkeys. Are you kidding me? Flying freaking monkeys. If I had a nickel for every time I complained about flying monkeys, I'd have at least $2. So we're just having fun with this. Hearts will never be made practical until they are made unbreakable. Oops. And I must say that this has been quite an eventful day. I went from counting crows to obtaining my doctor's of thinkology degree. At the end of the day, if you wind up surrounded by friends wearing a crown and winning a medal of bravery, you realize life is okay. So we're getting towards the end. Wouldn't be surprised if this wizard jumped in a hot air balloon and bolted. Called it. A heart is not judged how much you love, but how much you are loved by others. What a truly lovely day with some of the greatest souls around. Cannot wait for the future adventures and memories with you all. I went to Oz and all I got was this t-shirt on a killer pair of shoes. So what's the resolution? So what are some of the takeaways from this story? Again, one of the best stories told in the last 75 years. Hope. Hope is a good thing. Dreams do come true. Stories matter. And follow your path. Choose the road less traveled. And who are you taking with you? Mind over matter. Who has your back? Relationships matter. Your vibe is your tribe. Choose faith over fear. And not everything is as it appears. Always be kind. Enjoy the ride, and there's no place like home. So, that's enough out of me. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.